Good morning, everybody. We are back with another Canvas Live. I'm here with Aaron, Rachel, and Stacy, who's the co-founder of Atalingua. We are so excited to have her, and we've got some pretty impressive stuff to share with you today. If you don't know Rachel yet, Rachel happens to be kind of the queen of all things Canvas. If it's cool in Canvas, Rachel is the one who's going to show it. So with that, I'm done talking. You didn't come to see me or hear from me anyways. Rachel, take it away, my friend.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you, team, for being here today. I'm really excited to highlight what one of our clients is able to accomplish with Canvas, and we're calling this Leveraging the Power of Canvas for Curriculum Content. And so I just want to start really quick with introductions. And so, like Mark said, my name is Rachel Lee, and I'm part of the Strategic Services team, and we work with clients that are trying to adopt Canvas or deepen their use of Canvas or elevate the ways in which they're using Canvas. And I'm just really excited to have kind of a panel conversation today with both Aaron and Stacy. And so I'm going to throw an introduction up to Aaron and have Aaron introduce herself.
Hi, everybody. I'm Erin Keefe. I'm a principal consultant here at Canvas. So I'm on Rachel's team. And I was lucky enough that Atalingua was assigned to me as one of my clients. Oh gosh, Stacy, when was that now? Almost 2 years ago, almost.
I can't believe it.
And they are, I will let Stacy tell you more about them, but they're located in Holland, Michigan. And I was able to go there so many times and really learn a lot about the area, but they're just fantastic. And I really enjoy working with them. So Stacy, do you want to tell us about you and about Atalingua?
Sure. Well, first of all, Aaron is phenomenal. And one of the reasons we chose Canvas is because we didn't know Aaron yet, but we did know we could have a dedicated team member from Canvas helping us. And with everything we had to accomplish in a very short time frame, we really appreciated that. And Erin has become, I feel like she's actually is part of our team. I know she's part of your team, Canvas, but it feels like she's part of our team. And we are totally ourselves with her at team meetings, and she can tell you stories. But anyway, let's see, I'm one of the co-founders. My partner, Lila Ambrosi, is not here today, but I'm kind of representing the team. We're very small. We are a women-owned 5-person company. So we kind of wear many hats. And our mission and the reason we exist is to really equip educators to inspire global empathy through teaching and learning in 2 languages. So we work with immersion and dual language programs across the United States.
Thank you so much. And, you know, today we wanted Atalingua to be able to share some of their process with you. And I have a few questions, Stacy, that we'd like to ask you, and have you and Aaron tell us a little bit more about what this project has been like for you. And so if you could, you already told us a little bit about your company, but tell us a little bit more about what led you to Canvas as the platform for delivering your curriculum content.
We previous to Canvas, what we do when I talked about empowering or equipping educators in the field of immersion and dual language, we actually had disparate platforms. We had a site that was created for us, and it was basically filled with PDFs, kind of like a unwieldy ebook. It wasn't even as easy or as nice as an ebook. And it really became almost a document management system for us. But our clients would log on, and then they would see all of their resources per grade level on that particular platform. And then in a different platform, we kind of moved from in-person professional learning to online learning, kind of blended. We had, some sessions that we would invite teachers to come actually to us, and then others that they could complete online. So then we had that platform. And I know we had another platform, but I'm drawing a blank. Like Erin said, it's been 2 years already, and Canvas is kind of our new environment, and we forget the old really quickly. But we actually put out a lot of requests for proposals, and we're very small, and Canvas is very large. And they really were intrigued, though, by what we were doing and sent a beautiful proposal. And we were very attracted to the fact that Canvas, their platform, your platform, was able to tick all our boxes. We wanted a one-stop shop. We wanted to be able to build reference courses where people could go and find the materials they needed. We wanted to also then have the same login for the professional learning that our teachers were experiencing. We call our professional learning sequence Atalingua certification, and it brings teachers through this gradual release of learning. And so they're with us for a long time. Many of our schools, our partner schools, have been with us since the inception of their program. So these are people that move up these different professional learning levels, and we needed a system to keep track of all that, make sure they had access to what they needed, and also to be able to communicate with them in a timely way, and to basically kind of streamline all of that in one place. It was very difficult and felt disorganized having all of those different aspects on different learning platforms. But when so Canvas not only ticked those boxes, but then they also, it was intuitive. Just from the little demos and the things we saw, it was intuitive. And like I said, it came with Erin, and that was huge because we were trying to do probably 3 years worth of work, and Erin, you can talk about that too. And literally, we had a deadline. We started, I don't remember exactly when, but it was literally, I was going to just use an inappropriate expression, a major push to get it all. And so
it was a really short timeline. And then COVID really accelerated things too on the professional learning side. So we were able to really, really move quickly in the dedicated time that we had, and make some amazing things for your teachers at your partner schools.
And we
go ahead. Sorry. I was just going to say, we often hear that having Canvas as that one-stop shop is one of the reasons that really draw people to Canvas, that, students and teachers and administrators can all access what they need in one place is one of the greatest things, I think, the simplicity of that we can provide to students and teachers and organizations like yourself. So that's interesting to hear that was one of your priorities. For sure. And the fact that Erin came along with the contract, for those of you that don't know, we're referring to adoption consulting services, and part of our team provides support to organizations or school districts or universities and colleges that are trying to figure out what this will look like. And I know Erin's enjoyed the work that she's done with your team, and speaks of you guys so fondly all the time as well. So, well, let me go on to our next question. And that is, what specific areas in the design of your courses have you been able to, leverage? What the power of Canvas have you been able to use to solve some of your design needs? Because some of the things you're trying to do are unique, and other people haven't tried to do it quite in the same way. So I just wondered if you had any design strategies that you could share, or Erin, if you wanted to share any of the design strategies, I would love to hear more about that as well.
Sure. Interestingly, whenever when we were looking at our requests, when we sent out that request for proposals, and we were looking at all of the different organizations, we quickly saw that we didn't fit in any box, like you alluded to, Rachel. And so the fact that Erin helped us onboard and conceptualize what we needed to do because we didn't fit any of those boxes was absolutely essential to our process. And so I would say that I want to speak to two things. The first was just this mad rush to take what was formerly PDFs and organized in a very different way into Canvas, and then how to conceptualize the different areas that the teachers would need to access. And we kind of started actually with the end in mind. And so we had built these assessments, these performance-based assessments that we wanted to pilot. And so we thought that's going to be our first project on Canvas. So we really, even though it felt like a mad rush, in some ways looking back, we were somewhat systematic in trying to understand what we could and couldn't do with Canvas. And we learned that there wasn't much we couldn't do. And so the Canvas, the first project was this performance-based assessment. And so we were able to build these interactive tasks. So we entered in, we actually went to one of our partner schools and said, will you pilot this? And we onboarded teachers. Aaron was there. We did that in person, gave them a quick tutorial on Canvas. We entered all the students at the same time. And literally, I look back on that now, and it was pre-COVID. So people were calmer. And so we were able to move that process along incredibly quickly now looking back. At the time, it felt like a lot, but looking back, it was really quick. And the students for every task would have to use their own Canvas account and access things. So it was really interesting. Again, these had been paper, like only teacher-led assessments prior to their evolution to what we were piloting. And so to see the power of students being able to go in and record themselves talking with each other. One of our tasks was interpersonal. So the students were given a graphic organizer and they had to discuss and talk back and forth about something from the previous task, which was either listening or reading something. And so it was so fun to see how students interacted with Canvas. And we learned a lot about what we needed to put in our instructions, like, okay, don't put your face 1 inch from the camera. And I mean, little things, right? Like that. And so that pilot was kind of our first phase and our first like step into using Canvas. And we quickly saw how much we could lighten teachers' loads. If they weren't running around trying to record students during these tasks so that they could later score them on a rubric, Canvas was able to handle that for them. And students, we had students as young as kindergarten. I mean, they did need a little bit more help, but even the first and second grade students were able to navigate. And again, it showed us where our instructions within the design of the assessment had to be clearer. Before I move on to the next phase, do you want to add anything about that assessment, Erin, or the
only thing I wanted to add as you were talking was how exciting it was then for you all to be able to see then those work products that before were happening in the classroom only, and you saw the end results of the assessments and how they were scored, but now you were actually able to see all of that happening, and I just remember that being so exciting. And how much you, like you said, were able to learn about the process or the design of the assessment because of how you were able to see people were interacting with it. And I remember during that time too, we were really solidifying like what was your Canvas environment going to look like with your Atalingua branding and what we were going to use for headers and footers, and how are we going to give people, those indicators of how Canvas works. So it was a really kind of exciting birthing time of Atalingua Canvas and what it was going to eventually look like.
Mm-hmm. And that was important to us too. Thank you for reminding me. We loved that we could personalize so that our anyone who was either in one of our reference courses and using our curricular materials, and anyone who was enrolled in one of our courses would immediately know, okay, I'm home, I'm in an Atalingua space. And so that was really important to us to create that sense of community. And the way Canvas allowed us to personalize that and build that environment was really powerful. So that was kind of our first phase. We did this pilot and we saw how powerful it was for teachers and students to be in this learning space together. And then we set that aside because we were kind of letting go of all of the previous platforms. So we needed to move our PDFs we needed to move our content from PDFs into a more interactive digital organizational structure. And so again, it was just key having Erin, because even though we eventually through the process learned really quickly how to use Canvas, at first we were so focused on redesigning that content that having Erin build courses and make things happen almost magically, it seemed to us, now we understand how it works, but was really, really important. And so that allowed us to move more quickly than if we had been doing it on our own. And so designing digital content was kind of the next phase, and we did, because of time, did leave in some of the documents as PDFs. A lot of our teachers were really used to those PDFs and printing them off. And when we get to the challenges, I'll talk more about that. But it was kind of neat that you could keep some PDFs. And like, for example, one of the tools that teachers would use are word sorts. And so we, especially the little ones, wanted them to download those PDF documents and then be able to cut up the word sort that they could use in the classroom. And so it allowed us to do that. But I think the digital content, putting it into an organizational structure that was intuitive and easy to follow for teachers, we did what we thought was best, and then we put it in the hands of teachers, and we've learned a lot since then. And again, I'll get to more of that. So we entered in all of that material, and then we also had to design and develop our professional learning courses. And so that was kind of the other project, but I know we're focusing on curriculum design, so we can stay there. But
that's okay. I thought maybe right now it might be a good opportunity, if Erin, if you don't mind, maybe sharing what one or two or a couple of the courses look like, kind of talk through. Sure. The elements that Stacy just spoke to about how you went about organizing your content in Canvas.
Mm-hmm. Well, we evolved. So Erin, I don't know if you want to show, okay, this is post our learning, okay? Because what we had done is we put so much into one grade level that it was very overwhelming for teachers. And we also spaced things out in such a way that they were clicking all over the place. So we quickly got feedback that too many clicks, I don't know where to find certain things. And so we added a search feature, which was huge. And then this kind of became our new outline. So these particular frameworks work in connection with our Spanish immersion programs. So they really focus on Spanish language development, and they're frameworks. They're not a whole unit or curriculum. These work in tandem with the content resources that the districts and the schools already have. So what we did is we kind of put a mini training about how to use each component of this particular resource into the introduction. And so if, for example, you look at, this is one of our tools. So this was, oh yeah, we loved putting funny Giphies in. I mean, come on, it's a lot of work to be a teacher. So whenever we could kind of be whimsical, we tried. And I don't know who has more fun, the teachers looking at this or us creating it. But again, this is still a PDF, but we kind of put in an overview that teachers could print out and simply have next to them as they would use throughout the year. Oh dear, I'm echoing. Uh-oh. Did I lose you? I'm so sorry. Technical difficulty.
You're okay. I just muted myself as well.
Okay, so basically how we organized it, this is an example of one of our tools that we left in PDF per teacher feedback that they wanted to be able to print something and kind of have it. Though we are moving more and more toward digital, and we're really dedicated to working with teachers. If you can go back, can you go back to the introduction, Erin? I just want to show you kind of an example of some of the mini trainings that we placed in here. So for each component, if you go back to, go to section 4 in the intro, we explain what this resource is. And then for each component, like for example, the word wall words, if you click on word wall words, we used a very interactive presentation style called Genially, and Erin put us onto this, but Genially is really fun because we can organize information, I think, more effectively, and it makes it really interactive for teachers. And so then we drop our little explanatory videos right in this Genially. Now, a teacher could do the same thing for her students, but we're using this to explain how to use the resource to teachers. And so we have little pop-ups, and then we dropped video explanations in as well, because again, as we've learned more about online learning, we know it's important to have written text, so for the readers in the group, right? And then also to have video or audio for those who would rather learn that way. So the intro really kind of helps explain how to use the resources, use the Atalingua framework in a very concise and comprehensive way. So then we decided to embed that in every grade level. So that way, if schools are like, we can't do a full-on training or participate in Atalingua certification courses, they can still use this resource effectively. And then we do that, we do those little training videos and Genially presentations for every component. So again, we've learned that if you have to click on something, it just engages you more. I know that sounds silly, but Canvas allowed us to do that. Whereas a PDF, you read how something works, but you're not engaging with it in the same way. So that was really fun to learn how to use that tool, and we use it all over.
And I think you're really hitting on something, Stacy, that we realized during the whole transition too, is you have all of these fantastic resources, and they were housed in a place really that was a file repository.
Exactly.
And what we wanted, our vision was that my vision that I shared with you too, was that when we have a new space, teachers will interact with it. They're not just going to print it off and put it in a binder and stick it on a shelf, but that these would be kind of like living things that they could really engage in. And it's just, and how much more, these videos that are, these presentations that you have here that are helping to show them how to use them, or why you envision them being used, why you've created them, I think is just so key. Because I know all of us who've been teachers can think about those big boxes of resources that we had and that we maybe didn't dip into all the time. And here you're giving them reasons to come back to the resource and interact and engage with it. And I think that's what really separates this from what you had before.
Totally. And we also, our goal is to add, when we have the assessments that work with these grade level frameworks, then the goal is to add in students. So our phase 1 was really making this powerful for teachers only. Students aren't in these particular courses yet. We also found it important to really highlight the difference between, they are engaging with material, but they don't have assignments due or anything like that. That is in a separate course. So really delineating for people who are on the platform between, here's your reference course, and this is what you need to do your job, and then this is where your learning is. So really to distinguish between those two things. And then so here's an example of a learning course. So we call this PD2, And essentially, traditionally, our professional learning has been relegated or reserved for partner schools who are also implementing our resource. What Canvas also allowed us to do, actually, we did a lot of reflection. The pandemic, I think, did that for all of us, and is still doing that and shaping how we're thinking. And so where we are expanding as an organization is we want to separate our resource from our training, and even language from our training, because there are key pedagogies in immersion and dual language education that every educator needs to be successful. So how can we take some of what we have now worked out in long-term relationships with partner schools, how do we make that available to a greater audience? And so I think our reflection based on just wanting to connect with more people given the pandemic, and recognizing that we have tools that could help a lot more teachers than just our small cohort. That combined with just the capacity of Canvas really opened our eyes to possibilities. So we're very grateful for that. So in this particular course, this then is something that teachers have to work through as they go through their certification path. And I know that you have a slide, Rachel, about the challenges, and I can speak to some of that, because I don't want to make it sound Pollyanna. It's like get your hands in, you're up to your elbows, and it's messy. And I think part of that maybe was because we launched in the middle of a pandemic. And so everybody was just, like change everywhere. And then we kind of pushed through another big change from what a lot of our partner schools were used to. So, yeah, it's been an interesting and wonderful 2 years with so much learning. So,
Stacy, I think you hit on it though. When you're trying to redefine how you do education business, if you will, what that looks like, it is messy, and you have to work through it and try it out and reiterate on that process of planning and executing and evaluating it and then reframing it again. We talk about that through the lens of the Canvas success model. And really that's what this project utilized in order to get to where you are today. You had a vision and you made a plan and you executed the plan, and then you assessed. And like you said, you had to redo at some point as well. And so, I also wanted to point out that you mentioned the use of Genially in your materials, which is a favorite resource on our team. And one of the beautiful things about Canvas is the ability to embed any resource that you can access the HTML embed code for. You can do that right inside the rich content editor. So anywhere in Canvas that you have a rich content editor, you can embed those materials. And I think that's a beautiful example that you guys have designed to demonstrate how a tool like that can be used. And so
we really leveraged a lot of those tools in the PD as well. We took these great PD courses that have been in person, and we put them all online. And the conversations with Stacy and Lila were, we still want it to be engaging, and we still want people to feel like they're together and they're moving through this with their peers. And so we used a lot of other embedded tools like Padlet and Flipgrid alongside of the Canvas tools that helped to create that asynchronous collaborative environment. So it didn't feel like you were just doing it on your own.
We kind of actually learned that we may have overused those tools, because poor teachers, we're so excited about them. That was one of the key learnings that we're kind of editing and redefining for next year's launch is how much it's kind of that whole principle of, okay, what is an hour of in-person instruction maybe is 10 minutes online. So really, really learning all of that as well. And Rachel, I'm really grateful you said that, because sometimes I feel like everything we do is a work in progress. So to hear you say that that's normal feels really good. So thank you. Because it is. It's like you have a hypothesis of, we think this is going to be great, and you act on it and you build, and then you release it to teachers, and they are the best feedback givers who say, you know what, this was really difficult, and even though we are former educators ourselves, when you're building, it's different from when you're acting, right? And using it. And so that dance, that back and forth dance, has been the bedrock of everything we've done. Like without their feedback, we wouldn't keep changing, but it makes it messy sometimes too. And I know that I don't love messy, and so messy, but it's good. Canvas gives structure to the mess, so that's good.
I think, if we have educators that are watching this presentation as well, it's the same thing we do with our students, or we should be doing with our students as well. Is we design learning experiences for our students, and we should be getting their feedback as well on what those experiences are like, what they found, easy and intuitive inside of Canvas, and what was difficult, and where instructions needed to be clear. And I think, all educators can learn from that experience as well. So I love your story. I love the work that you've been able to accomplish. And I just wanted to share, as a wrap up, some of the other curriculum providers that have shared content inside of the Commons. And I just want to make sure I can get my screen to share here, okay? Are you seeing slides? Yep. Okay, yep. Perfect. Okay.
Oh, I think Stacy had a few challenges she wanted to point out too.
Perfect.
Before you hop to that, because I think she was ready for that.
Okay. More challenges.
I can just skip and not share the dirt.
No, I really share some challenges.
No, it's just for anyone wanting to build curricular resources on Canvas. I think one of our huge learnings was limit the clicks. Be uber clear about what is in each section, and follow a pattern and repeat it. So it's very easy to locate what you need. And so I think one of the things we tried to do was put so much in a course because we were so excited, but in reality, we took away some of the clarity we were hoping for. So with this next release, we actually are taking out a bunch of tools and putting them into their own separate course. So teachers, here are things like, so we left the what. This is what you need to do. Like, this is your pacing guide. This is what you need to do. And then how you do it, to some degree, is going to live in a different course. And so I think what we're finding is having maybe a few more tiles, we call them tiles or courses on the dashboard, that are very clearly organized is better than having it all kind of in one huge course. So that was just one challenge and one recommendation I have. I have others, but we'll keep going. We've already spent time, so.
Well, and I think what you're talking about is actually like good principles for web design. We say that in if you're designing a website, limit the number of clicks to get to the content. And that those same principles, having visuals and having a simple, intuitive course where it's not overly complicated to figure out where you need to go for your content, like using a dashboard, like you said, is really, really important. So, Erin and I would also love to keep talking about this topic and the ways in which we're creating content for a lot longer, but I'm going to go ahead just really quick and tell you a little bit about some other content that you can find inside of the Canvas Commons. So Apple Education has a number of courses that you can search for by typing in keywords like everyone can code, Swift, and computer science. You can also find SEL type courses about inclusion. This is one focused on Special Olympics. The California Community College has a number of open enrollment courses from OpenStack that you can just search for OpenStacks, for example. Not just college, graduate, or undergraduate courses, but courses that can be complements to your high school offerings. Also, there's an online professional development network or English network called Open that has a number of MOOC type courses that you can search for. And then, of course, Instructure, have to end with this, it has a number of resources that have been provided through the Commons as well that are content providers, courses that you can find fully developed that you could utilize. And I know, Atalingua, your courses aren't necessarily in the commons, but I just wanted to share with some of our viewers today that we do have other content that is publicly available that you might want to take some time to explore. So I thought I'd pause for just a second and see what questions there were inside of the chat. There was one final question that I wanted to address. Aaron, you mentioned Genially and Flipgrid, and I wondered what other resources you've utilized for content design and creation. And so Facebook user was asking that question.
I know with Atalingua, the other one I mentioned was Padlet, that we did use inside of the professional learning courses. Atalingua also has Studio, which has been fantastic for having video interaction. That was another really big piece we leveraged pretty heavily inside of for Atalingua. I will mention a couple other tools that I like, since we're digging in here, even though we may not have used them with Atalingua, but we do use them, like, for example, in Canvas Certified Educator. We're using ThingLink pretty heavily in there. I think that's another one that works well inside of Canvas, as well as Wakelet. Now, all of the images that you saw today that we were using with Atalingua, it's all their branding and colors and stuff, but man, we use Canva like it's our right hand at Atalingua. So Canva was another thing that we really we used to design. And I'm not a graphic designer, but the CEO of Atalingua, Pamela, is awesome with all this stuff, and she knows how things should look. And I think we've designed a really nice looking area, but that came from Canva, and just the ease of use with that, and then uploading images into Canvas. So, yeah.
Rachel, you're on mute.
Yep, just realized that. Story of my life, it seems like these days. Aaron, thank you for that. One of the things that I love about Canvas is the ease at which you can utilize other tools, and definitely brings value to what we're creating inside of Canvas. So great ideas. Stacy, thank you so much for your time. I don't see any other questions, Mark.
Can I just say one more thing?
Yeah, please.
So this is probably the project, and I worked on tons at Canvas in my time here, that I am really the most proud of. I might start crying. Just because this is a company that had a mission and a vision, and they weren't sure how to make it happen in Canvas. They just knew we had to get it done. And it was for me as a professional, it still is very fulfilling. They're still my client. That we can sit down and they can say, we want to do this thing, and that Canvas has a way to make it happen. So it's been a super awesome project, and really a testament to, like, if you've got a goal and a vision of what you want to create in Canvas, we can make it happen. So
if you have that, you need Aaron. That is so.
But I think what Stacy is also saying is that don't you dare, Rachel, take Aaron off of her account. Let's make a couple things very clear.
Exactly. And I think it's a true testament to how much we value the relationships we have with our clients, and how they become part of our family and always will be. And so great work, Aaron. Stacy, I'm so glad that this has been a positive experience, and that you've been able to, leverage Canvas in ways that are really, promoting the work and your mission. And so really inspiring to hear today. So thank you so much for your time. Mark, is there anything else? Any other questions that we missed?
Stacy, do you want to wrap us up? Any last thoughts as we go out?
I'll get teary too now that Aaron did, but it was a huge undertaking, and we couldn't have done it without Canvas, honestly. And, you really encouraged me just by showing those other open source courses. We really do want to do that. We have to sell some courses so we have money to be able to like open up. But that's really our goal is, you know, revenue is not, it's lifeblood, but it doesn't mean much if you can't keep sharing all the learning and the knowledge. And we appreciate that partnership with Canvas, and thank you for helping us make it happen. And I totally agree with Erin. I totally agree that the undertaking and having that vision, we didn't know everything, but we knew it had to all go on Canvas, and we were all in. And so I just encourage anyone listening, like if you have a vision, whether you're a classroom teacher and you have a vision for what you want in your classroom, you can make it happen on Canvas, and don't give up. So.
Stacy, thank you so much for joining us. If anyone wants to get more info about Atalingua, where can we find you?
Atalingua.com. Just go there and check us out. We're still adding things to our website. Like I said, we're a work in progress too, as we're expanding to kind of enfold more immersion and dual language programs into our family. So, and Canvas is allowing us to do that. All these cool connections all over, right? We feel like we're in isolation because of the pandemic, but then you have moments like this and you're like, okay, we're all connected. Mm-hmm. So that feels good.
That's awesome. Everybody, thanks again for joining us. Go check out Atalingua.com. We did give you a little shout out there. Erin is one of the top two most important people at all of Instructure for this program we called the Canvas Certified Educator Program. If you haven't signed up for it, I dropped a link there in the comments. It is incredible. Yep. I think we just had another cohort start this week, if I remember right, Erin.
Monday.
And there'll be more starting next month. So go check it out. Thanks again to Rachel, Erin, and Stacy. Everybody, have a great week. Talk to you soon.
Bye.